Waking up can tell it's gonna be a great day. Look out my window, sun shining on the freeway. For one day I'm getting paid enough. I'm barely out of bed, I'm already blazing up.
What's up, my Wizards Dad? That's BMTG. Place down there. We're on the internet. We have like decks and stuff. We're not like tappedout.com. We're on YouTube and stuff. Anyway, we got a deck for today. As a matter of fact, that's what we're here to do 90% of the time. Remember during the top upcoming deck tech video, that thing? I talked about green-white Displacer. I didn't talk about it. It was just one of the entries on the list. But babbling. Anyway, I decided, I put that together, played it for like 2 weeks, and it wasn't like the best thing. It's super not great, not very impressive. So in the course of playing that, though, I thought maybe there was a case for mono-white Displacer, right? Tried that. There's really not the support for it. We don't have all the slots for it. So I decided let's add a color. It was down to blue or red. What do you do? So I went with a little bit of both. This is Jeskai Displacer today, and I actually think it's like really fun, if nothing else. Cool deck. There's a lot of stuff you can do with Eldrazi Displacer in the format as I've just outlined there. But if you haven't seen this video yet, a lot of people have, I think, seen this video. But if you haven't yet, there is an infinite combo in Standard right now with Eldrazi Displacer. Check that out if you haven't seen it yet. But also watch this video. 27 creatures in this deck of ours here. We need a lot of targets to displace. We need a lot of creatures. I'm going to go ahead and tell you that we're playing 4 copies of Eldrazi Displacer. It was a 3 of in the Selesnya, the green-white deck that I started with. And then in every subsequent deck, it's been a 4 of. You just want to see it all the time. The entire deck runs on this card. This deck has the benefit of being able to win without Eldrazi Displacer. We make a lot of tokens for with different cards and stuff. We've got multiple paths to victory. But Eldrazi Displacer works with literally every single one of the creatures we're playing, save for one. And so it's good to have around. It's getting multiple enter the battlefield triggers off of certain creatures is absolutely nuts. So yes, you just want to see Eldrazi Displacer all the time, just in case it gets removed too. You got a backup copy. So just integral to the deck, we're calling it Jeskai Displacer. Let's play all the copies of Displacer we can. Let's get back on curve here. We got 4 copies of Knight of the White Orchid, and this started off as a 3 of 2 and then became a 4 of. The card is just really that good. We need a lot of mana later on in the game to play some of our cards or do Eldrazi Displacer tricks more than once in a turn, or maybe do a trick with Eldrazi Displacer and then actually play a card out of our hand. We need all the mana a little bit later on in the game, so something like this can actually help if we ever get behind on mana. We can search up a Plains. So card has actually been fantastic. A good second turn play. Love that it has first strike, because that sort of outclasses a lot of turn 1 and 2 plays against aggro. So Knight of the White Orchid, definitely good enough, I think, for a 4 of. 2 copies of Anafenza Kintree Spirit. This I don't think is as important to play as Knight of the White Orchid, but we need 2 drops. And you could also play Erishan Cleric and you take it out of the sideboard, put it in the main deck, because it works really well with Displacer and it helps us get a little bit later on into the game, So Cleric isn't a bad choice, but Anafenza is pretty good too, 27 creatures in the deck, so we'll get an awful lot of triggers off of Anafenza. Not to mention that anytime we displace something, we'll get a trigger off of Anafenza. So that's a cool little bit of synergy right there. Anafenza's just been a pretty, I guess, inoffensive 2-drop, which we need to spread out the 2 drops as much as possible. The only problem is that nearly all of our 2 drops cost the 2 whole white mana to play, which means our mana base needs to be supported heavily with white, but we pulled that off. 2 copies of Hangerback Walker in the deck, which I'm sort of counting as a 2-drop, and it doesn't look great because it doesn't have the synergy with Eldrazi Displacer. You can displace this, but it'll come back into play and just be a 0/0 and die, and you won't get any tokens. It'll be really sad. So don't displace Hangerback Walker. But it's so good with Pian Kiran, which is a card that we're playing a little bit higher on the curve here, which of course we're playing Pian Kiran. It's just displacing that is ridiculous. But it works so well with that we have to play it. It's just a good overall creature, a great 2-drop in a deck that's really, really looking for 2 drops. So Hangerback Walker, yes. 4 copies of Reflector Mage, the only blue card in the entire deck, but totally worth it. Now, I was playing blue-white Displacer and using like Whirler Rogue, but Whirler Rogue we can replace with Pian Kiran, which is just better. Not strictly better, that's not what that term means, but just better than Whirler Rogue for all intents and purposes. So, I think we can get away with the only blue card in the deck being Reflector Mage, because he is that important to play. I've already played him in Bant Company. The card is absolutely ridiculous, and he's just as good as you think he might be to displace, Imagine displacing Reflector Mage. We've reached our first one-of here, just one copy of Wall of Resurgence, and it's so good in the limited environment. Wanted to try it out, but just as the one-of to remain safe. And I'd probably keep it there. The times you do see it, it does have the potential of being displaced over and over and slowly, turn by turn, making all of your lands into guys. It can happen. Not only that, but early game it does block like Anafenza and Siege Rhino on the ground and stuff, early to mid-game. So, not a bad card at all, it turns out. But I don't know that I'd want to put more copies in the deck. It's just really, really good when you do see it, but not like it's super important for the deck to win or anything. It's just a cool trick. 3 copies of Thopter Engineer in the deck. Raise your hand if you know how good Thopter Engineer is, seriously. Once you play with this card, like in just the mono-red or red-white tokens sort of build, this card is absolutely ridiculous, man. You get a 3 toughness thing and a 1/1 flyer for just a 3 mana, and we've got things in this deck like P and Karan that help out synergy-wise with that. We've got Gideon in the deck, the only thing that really costs any money, but you gotta have Gideon. And the emblem really helps out with that, so just, yes, Thopter Engineer is actually ridiculous. Like, every time I play this card, I like it. I played it in the blue-red Thopter's build and really liked it there, too. Just Thopter Engineer, give it a try, man. And when you're displacing it, that's even better. So, just a really good target for displacement and just a solid creature on its own. I know I'm really excited about Engineer, but I just want to get the word out. And people in the comments will probably back me up. Like, this card is really good. 3 copies of P and Kiran in the deck, just absolutely, maybe the best card in the entire deck, man. P and Kiran just gets better every single time that I play it. P and Kiran is a card that you're always looking for, and I honestly wouldn't mind playing 4. Even if you have one out, you can play another one on top of it and get 2 things, but get 2 Thopter tokens. But, if we've got an Eldrazi Displacer out, we can just do that every single turn anyway, so, it lets us play 1 less copy than I really, really want to. But P and Kiran, just insane. It's got cool synergy in that you can, displace it every single turn, get more and more tokens, and sacrifice those tokens for 2 damage apiece. So just either amass a small army or do a bunch of damage to them all at one time. P and Kiran is usually what's going to win you the game. It's probably our biggest threat. As well as this, 2 copies of Wingmate Rock in the deck. Card is ridiculous to displace given that you've attacked that turn. And when you do attack with a Wingmate Rock, a lot of life is gained because we're going pretty wide here, especially if you can pull off just like displacing a P and Karam once or twice. That's a lot of tokens right there. So 1 life apiece swinging in with Wingmate Rock is actually a fairly resilient play. Not to mention that just displacing it and getting, an extra 3/4 flyer every time is super disgusting. It's like one of the best things we can displace in the entire deck. Wingmate Rock is a definite yes. And I wanted to play 3 Wingmate Rock, but I wanted to sneak in a copy of this guy. Another one of here, and just 1 copy of Resolute Blademaster. Imagine displacing this every turn. I've only gotten that to work once, but it's super duper awesome. Even just giving all of our flying tokens double strike is crazy, and we are playing some somewhat big creatures in the deck at least, especially Wingmate Rock is sort of the big guy. So, and another one we've got coming up here, you'll see. So Resolute Blademaster coming into play every single turn is awesome, but you could play another Wingmate if you wanted to, or maybe another creature down the line. A Thopter Engineer would be good, adding a Hangerback, whatever you wanted to do. It's a fairly flexible slot, but Resolute Blademaster isn't just a good idea, it's been a really good card in practice. And 1 more silver bullet here, just the 1 copy of Limbvalo the Preserver. I was playing 2, didn't need to see it that often. We can win the game off of Thopters and such, but really cool to displace because it puts them in a sort of soft lock, Anytime if we've got a Displacer and a Limbvalo out, if they don't have the removal to deal with either one of these guys, which that comes up quite a bit, if they don't have the removal to deal with them, then we've got them in a soft lock in that anytime we dip below their life total, we can just gain 5. So that's a pretty cool little combo right there. Not only that, but it's a finishing creature too, a big 5/5 meaty juicy old flyer to swing in and deal damage for us. And when you do get the 3/3, that's 8 power. Displacing this is ridiculous. And 1 more thing before I move on, Limbvalo's been really good against mass removal, which we kind of care about in this deck. Kind of trying to go wide. We got a sort of token strategy in the deck, and we got key creatures that it kind of sucks to lose, like Eldrazi Displacer, for instance. So after we get swept by like a Languish or something like that, Limbvalo, if they have 1 creature out on their side of the board, Limbvalo can give us a 5/5 flyer and a 3/3 flyer. That's pretty good as far as recovery goes. We got 5 total spells in the deck. We'll start it off with 3 copies of Silkwrap. We need some removal, Silkwrap takes out everything. Monastery Swiftspear, Abbot of Carroll Keep, Hangerback Walker, Jace, Nissa Vastwood Seer, Manus Rider, about a million other things, and Afenza. So yeah, we're definitely going to play Silkwrap today. We need some removal, especially because we're low on 2-drops. This is a good 2-drop for us. And we're going to play 2 copies of Ballard Stance in the deck. Yet another good piece of removal against stuff that goes over the top of us. Good mid-range threats and kills the Rhino. That's somewhat important right now. And also protects our Eldrazi Displacer, mostly because that's the big target here. Or, you know, if we've got the Limbvalo soft lock thing set up and they try to kill either Displacer or Limbvalo, this can make one of them indestructible. So that really helps in that situation too, protecting that soft lock. But mostly just protecting your Eldrazi Displacer. Or you can kill Siege Rhino or Big Thing, you know, Jutai when he swings in, a lot of stuff. So yeah, Ballard Stance is actually ridiculously good. Maybe more copies. We're playing 3 copies of Gideon in the deck for self-explanatory reasons, you know. Really don't know what else to say about Gideon other than, you know, all your Hangerback Walker tokens and your P and Kiran tokens, Thought Engineer tokens, can make them all bigger. Oh, and a big thing, a reason to play Gideon here is obviously the trick that a lot of people are talking about. You can make Gideon a creature if he's low on loyalty, and then displace him with Eldrazi Displacer. He'll come back into play as a Planeswalker with a full loyalty of 4. So that's actually pretty good. Not to mention you can use his abilities again then, because he's according to the rules, he's not the same Gideon. He doesn't remember that he used his ability earlier, so you can use yet another Planeswalker ability on him after you've displaced him. So all of those things are really good. 25 lands in the deck. We've got some pain lands in there to help activate the Eldrazi Displacer. We don't need too much more than that. Notice we got a lot of white sources in the deck and a lot of plains in the deck. That's because of the Knight of the White Orchid mostly. And because, you know, we've got, like I mentioned earlier, a lot of 2-drops that cost 2 whites. We need a lot. We're skewed towards white here. So, but, you know, the land base, typical. Here's a relatively complex sideboard for you right here. But, you know, mostly it's pretty obvious what we're doing. Aside from the token removal, we're also playing Felidar Cub. That's good to displace if we have to. We're playing Arishan Cleric. I think that's a no-brainer. Make a stand really, really good in this tokens-based strategy and can sometimes win you the game. Exquisite Firecraft and Hordling Outburst are in there to complement the Goblin Dark Dwellers so that it can be a viable target for Eldrazi Displacer. That's pretty cool. And Outpost Siege is also not bad if things are leaving the battlefield every single turn via Eldrazi Displacer. So we've got, honestly, the full 75 in this deck matters a lot. And here are your power rankings. A final score of 64 here. Not too shabby. You know, mid-60s is always viable. And when you'll notice looking through the power rankings, the deck does everything at least somewhat okay. It doesn't have any really low scores. But it doesn't really stand out in any important categories. You know, it's got a lot of synergy, obviously, mostly because of Displacer, but also because of the different token synergies that we're running in it. But it's also got a high consistency, but that's, you know, decks usually have a high consistency. So really the only standout category is synergy here. We're a fairly versatile deck, but we're sort of jack of all trades, and we've got a lot of different creatures that do a lot of different stuff when they come into play. That's pretty cool right there, but it just doesn't do anything very, very well, and the score suffers for that reason. Overall, deck's not going to cost you an arm and a leg to make or anything. It probably cost you like a pinky. I mean, it's not, it's money. $220 to $350 on the high end on TCG Player to make the deck, which is, again, that's not bad. That's how much standard should cost. Not like $800 with Jaces, fetch lands, Gideons, which Gideons are in the deck, so are fetch lands. But honestly, playing Gideons and fetch lands, we get out of there for a relatively low budget, so I don't complain too much. That's all I got for now. Let me know how you feel about that one. I know that it's kind of weird. I'm working on a lot of stuff, but let me know what you want to see. Apparently, a lot of you want to see Hedron alignment. I have been working on Hedron alignment, trying to make that work. I've got 2 or 3 different ideas for it right now. I've proxied them all up, and they're in testing right now. You'll see. I'm just trying to sort of nail it down. There is one that's outperforming the other 2, but we'll see how things get out because I've got a couple of tweaks to make. But I am working on Hedron alignment. Don't worry. If you enjoyed the content, I sincerely hope you did. Like the video, smash the thumbs up button, share the video with your buddies and your lady friends, and then comment if you want to let me know how you felt about it. If you hated it, if you loved it, I'm into all of that. And then sub if you're new or if you just like have been lurking the channel forever. That's creepy. Go ahead and sub. It'd be nice if you did that. But I'm Dev from SBMTG. As usual, I always say this and I keep saying it. Thanks for watching, my wizards, because I mean it. That's why I say it. Thanks for watching, my wizards.